Are you guys ready? This is Oblivion is a warning by Legendary Drops. 3, 2, 1.
If there was any shot,
Too loud.
I didn't think it was real. I didn't think that there was any shot that Xbox would want to shadow drop an Oblivion remaster to this level of quality. It just didn't make any sense.
It's not a remaster.
And on top of that, we've seen this kind of thing happen. I don't even know how many times. The screenshots, the leaks,
a remake.
the rumors, the
They remade
comparison
the game.
videos, and all of it led to absolutely nothing. And even more so, just the idea of it being a shadow drop doesn't make any sense because Xbox's track record is not that good.
That's true. All I ever hear about Xbox is how like they keep dropping the ball on like basically IPs that they can't fuck up. Master Chief, our boy Halo.
The majority of their games have not done well. Avowed was a thing. Starfield is not going to be remembered very fondly.
What happened with the Starfield thing? Because I keep hearing this. I didn't even know that was Oblivion.
So you would expect that they'd want to give this game the red carpet treatment, but they didn't. To their credit, they didn't need to. The Oblivion remake has taken over the entire internet at this point. I call it a remake because that's exactly what it looks like, to be honest with you, though I am haunted by people's character creations.
In case you guys do not know, our Oblivion character is an Argonian named Gas. Starfield was fun. I heard a lot of complaints about the game being empty and, oh, it felt too corporate. Like, this is a AAA game. That must be fun. We are going to have fun.
Good Lord, people. I know that sometimes I can be overly critical of a lot of games and the industry as a whole, but I have no problem celebrating things that are worth celebrating. And there is a lot worth celebrating here.
So I think that it's not good if you don't know how to make a new game. Obviously, like the remaster is crazy. The remake, it's not even a remaster. It's a remake. It was like bottom up. The only thing that was saved was were logical structures. They basically had to remake the game in Unreal. So
I don't think that we've seen an all-around home run from a AAA publisher like this in a long time. This has swung positive sentiment in their direction. It's created a lot of goodwill, and it has embarrassed their competition.
Oh, also, they didn't even make it. The base code is mostly the same. I think it's just the logic structures. I think they had to remake everything in Unreal besides like the actual logic of conversation and if this and then that for like the story. I didn't think they had to I didn't think it was just like a reskin. I think it's a lot.
They did it all for $50.
Or they maybe made it seem like that in the presentation where they dropped it, because that's definitely what they were making it seem. Remaster
Say something about competitive pricing.
$50.
Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about my return to one of my favorite games of all time, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. We're going to talk about its internet takeover and why I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this in the future.
I want more shadow drops like this. Guys, did you play Oblivion when like it was newer? Like, are you guys, I'm not going to say old enough?
Xbox just haymakered Nintendo in broad daylight and nobody's talking about it. You guys know it's really nice when they start fighting for our money.
Ooh!
This all started the way these things normally do. A few breadcrumbs on Reddit, Jeff Grubb dropping some hints, leakers whispering about an Oblivion remake. Most people didn't buy it, myself included, because Bethesda doesn't do remakes. They repackage their games. Remasters, ports, re-releases, sure, but a full-blown remake, that sounds like a
Okay, he's saying it's a remake.
fantasy. But then it happened. Bethesda confirmed it and set a date for a live
The
stream
original
the following
Oblivion
day.
was
And
what
then
started my gaming journey.
Really?
right after that, they had announced that the game was available for download. The remaster was being handled by Virtuous. If you guys have heard the name, it's because they have been everywhere at this point. These are the same folks that are working on the upcoming Metal Gear Solid remake. They've worked on the
What?
Assassin's Creed Ezio collection, Batman Arkham collection, the BioShock collection, Dark Souls remastered, Nier Automata End of Yorha edition, and more.
What? Do these guys just make gold? You give these guys an idea and they just shit out like some gold nuggets?
This is far from their first rodeo, and in fact, they might be the best possible team to be able to handle a game like Oblivion, because this isn't just another classic. This is Oblivion, a cultural cornerstone, an RPG that shaped an entire generation's taste. For many of us, this was the blueprint. This was the genre.
This is the role-playing game.
They needed this. They needed it badly.
So Bethesda and Microsoft, I am a little unclear because he's talking about Microsoft and Bethesda in like the same vein. Is Bethesda owned by Microsoft? Because if that's true, I didn't know that.
Starfield was supposed to be their second coming, a brand new IP, huge scale, that signature Bethesda magic, but in space. It launched big, but it fizzled fast. Word of mouth tanked, streamers dropped it in days, engagement plummeted, and then after that, they went into full-on damage control. Narrative lead Emil Pagliarulo was firing off tweets, mocking players for not understanding the realities of game development.
Funny how disconnected some players are from the realities of game development, yet they speak with complete authority. I mean, I can guess what it takes to make a Hostess Twinkie, but I don't work in the factory, so what the hell do I really know? Your game is poopy. Stop
Devs
complaining.
then took to Steam with copy-pasted replies to combat negative reviews saying things like, some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design, but that's not boring. When the astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. Certainly, they weren't bored.
You know, Papers, Please is a good example of a game about doing paperwork that's fucking fun.
Guys, what the hell were you even doing? This is a complete mess. Starfield didn't flop
You have to
because it
take
was
something
broken.
boring
It
and make it
flopped
fun.
because
Tier
it was dull.
100
It
My
didn't
first
live.
interaction with Oblivion and the Elder Scrolls series in general was a sex mod uploaded to YouTube. Early days internet was wild.
That is crazy. Uploaded to YouTube. I remember the Skyrim modding community was kind of crazy.
If it didn't breathe, it didn't matter more than anything else. And that opened the door to the question whether or not Bethesda still has what it takes to even make games that people love. And I think that's what makes this remaster such a moment. It's not just a nostalgia bomb, it's a reputation reset. A chance for Bethesda to remind people what made them believe in them in the first place.
It's gonna take like a new game and proof that they can make something new, I think.
Even if they didn't make this game themselves, they greenlit it, they oversaw it, they let it exist without mangling it, and it worked. I want to be clear about something. This isn't the kind of game that we need to see reach 500,000 concurrent players on Steam. It is not here to compete with today's modern releases. It is here to regain goodwill and rebuild Bethesda's brand. I find it hilarious when I go and I read
interesting.
the ever-wise ex-Blizzard president turned sports betting CEO that's now marketing gambling to kids through Twitch, Mike Ybarra, said
What?
that I'm skeptical about 20-year-old remasters.
Who is this guy? What do you mean marketing? What do you mean? Marketing gambling to kids? What is that? The former Blizzard CEO. I'm skeptical about 20-year-old remasters. What was once fantastic, now remastered, will never hold up against modern masterpieces like Elden Ring. The bar has simply moved from safe open world RPGs to what Elden Ring brought us all. I've never played Elden Ring. In fact, I bought Elden Ring, I played it for 1 hour, and I returned it. I know Elden Ring's an amazing game. I just was like, I'm not really ready to learn Souls-like. That being said, I don't know. There's maybe some truth in that, but they added quality of life fixes, like the ability to sprint. That was in an Oblivion. That's in the remake.
What was once fantastic, now remastered, will never hold up to modern masterpieces like Elden Ring. The bar has simply moved from a safe open world RPG to what Elden Ring brought us all. I would love to be proven wrong, but I'm not. Only he was proven wrong within hours. The game exploded on Steam with over 182,000 concurrent players.
I think this game kind of could have sucked a little bit and it would have been fine just because everyone wanted this. This is something that people have been hungry for an Elder Scrolls game, and it's not a new one, but so many people played Skyrim but never got to play Oblivion. I think that this was just good timing. I think it was perfect marketing. It was cheap enough for everyone to just kind of buy immediately.
Probably sold millions of copies straight out of the gate. My feed has been wall-to-wall Oblivion lately. Screenshots, bugs, memes, goofy faces, pure joy. I've never seen so many grown men misty-eyed over a game drop. Games like the Oblivion remaster are not here to define the modern era. They are here to remind us and developers of the past and let us revisit it with a new coat of paint. They are made cheap, sub $100 million. They don't need to sell 10 million copies to be viable. Nobody needs Oblivion to stand toe-to-toe with Elden Ring. We need Elder Scrolls 6 to do that. Why do you think that they released the game for $50, Mikey? Now, I've been...
Guys, do you think that this remake is like a big paid for ad for Elder Scrolls 6? I love that idea. The character creation is, I know. I didn't go as hard. I didn't realize...
Oblivion released in 2006. It's 19 years old.
Oh, is it?
There's a lot of people who haven't played it.
That's so funny. I actually thought it released earlier than that. Didn't Skyrim come out in 2009? Or was it 2012? Well, this is what Elder Scrolls 6 will be like. 2011. Damn, re-released
playing
Skyrim.
it myself, and oh man. I'm just gonna say it. This has to be one of the hardest start screens in gaming history.
It looks so
Once that
fucking
theme
good.
kicked in, I just sat there staring for like 15 minutes, total blackout. Is this actually happening? It's wild to think that it's been almost 20 years.
From announcement
2
to
decades.
download.
I usually credit Grandia 2 on Dreamcast for being the game that made me fall in love with RPGs, but
Ooh,
Oblivion is the
never heard
one
of
that coded it into my DNA. People will tell you how revolutionary it was, how open it felt, how immersive it was, but that undersells it. For a lot of us, this isn't just our favorite game. This is the game. This is the one that defined an era.
Wow.
I still, to this day, struggle to explain what
Skyrim
it felt
was like
like
that
to
to
play
me.
the game. It was a real adventure, streamlined from Morrowind for
Glad
sure. It
to
was
be
much
here
more
another month,
accessible,
and
but
please,
that didn't
Bethesda,
really
I want you to not fuck up, but I know Todd will tell me sweet little lies.
matter. Before Elden Ring was the game that was praised for just letting you go, Oblivion was already doing it. I put thousands of hours into the game without even trying. You guys have to understand, this is before YouTube guides, pre-Twitch. You didn't even know what was coming. You couldn't plan. That mystery, that sense of unpredictability, it was electric.
I don't know if you can credit Oblivion with creating open world systems. There's got to be games before this.
I remember getting caught and tossed in jail, ended up invited into the Thieves Guild. Then I went and I botched
Usually,
a job where
however,
I killed a guy.
a lot of dev companies are screwing over their developers. For example, EA and Thief.
Oh, recently in their mass layoff.
By accident, I got kicked out and suddenly I'm now being recruited into the Dark Brotherhood. I would spend hours just wandering the land, finding ruins, delving into dungeons, interacting with everything I could to build up my proficiencies. I forgot that the main quest even existed until I stumbled over a hill and saw an Oblivion gate in the distance. This was the first time I'd ever played a game that was reacting to me, not leading me.
Yeah,
you didn't
that's true.
play Oblivion, you lived it. And somehow, some way, we get to do that all over again. I don't think people recognize how special of an occasion this is. Virtuous delivered exactly what this game needed. It is still janky, it's still weird, it's still buggy, but it's sharper,
It is a
cleaner,
little
and more
buggy.
modern where it counts. They kept the creation engine as the system that is running the game's logic, but they layered Unreal Engine 5 over the top of it to graphically bring it into the modern era.
This is what he's saying right now about the logic being the thing that they kept is basically a lot of this has been what they said during the drop. So I'm not sure what that looks like, but they're calling it a remake, right?
They let it be what it was, but just with a bit more polish. I mean,
Yeah.
they still even kept the goofy misreads from the voice actors in the original.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again.
Combat feels
What?
tighter, the UI is cleaner, you can actually assign your stats manually instead of just getting locked into a starting class.
They kept
Small,
it in?
smart, meaningful changes.
that's
That is
so
all
funny.
this game needed. And man, booting this game up after so many years, it feels surreal. Sure, the colors could pop more, performance is a little bit iffy. It's Unreal Engine 5, so it's kind of a mess on PC.
I noticed it actually ran quite nice on my PC, and I have a 3080. It couldn't do like max graphics while streaming, but
And console. That's becoming a bit of a trend lately, not a good one. Definitely makes me worried about the future of games with more studios wanting to adopt Unreal Engine 5, but
is Unreal Engine 5 considered worse than other engines?
in motion, it's beautiful. The Imperial City glowing on the horizon, stars above the forest, the
Sounds
scope
fine.
of the game feels real.
Yeah.
The models, yeah, to be honest with you, a lot of them actually fall into the uncanny territory. It's definitely not how I imagined some of these characters would look using
I like their faces.
modern textures, but Bethesda has skipped an entire generation of hardware. It has been 20 years since Oblivion
Still a lot
released.
of
It's been over a decade now since Skyrim released. So anything at
true,
this
yeah.
point is going to look otherworldly.
Unreal 5 is pretty capable, but it's a bit unoptimized. I see. I did not know that.
This isn't just a remaster, it's a recalibration. This is not a victory lap, but a course correction. It doesn't prove that Bethesda still has it, but it shows that they remember at least what it looked like. And maybe that's enough for now. Because Elder Scrolls 6 is still on the horizon, and this could be exactly what they needed to be able to reset the table. They
What
didn't need to
horizon?
reinvent Oblivion. That wasn't necessary here. They just needed to remind everyone why we loved it. And they did. I feel like this should be the point of making remasters or remakes. It's an opportunity to go back and touch the very games that made these companies who they are. Remind them of what players want, and then build upon that.
See, I have zero proof that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be okay. The last time I saw an Elder Scrolls 6 ad, I feel like they made like trailers for that game forever ago. Am I crazy? I like remember it.
After closing my first Oblivion gate and watching the flames spew out all around me, my game crashed immediately afterwards. It's such an authentic experience. They really captured what it was like to play it back in the day. I mean, they layered
good you wanna
Unreal
do it
Engine
twice.
5 over the creation engine. What did we think was going to be the result of that? But yeah, it's buggy. There's tons of issues and things like that. It's just so damn fun to play. It's so fun to explore. And
Wow.
it's one of those games where you don't realize how much you missed it until you go back to play it.
And about 10 hours playing, it's only crashed once for me.
And I've just been enjoying myself. With that said, I do think that this is a reminder that there's a difference between bugs and performance issues. And it's like I said earlier this week, players are going to put up with a lot if the game is fun or enjoyable. Games will be judged by their merits if they have them. If there is no merit, well, then all they're going to see is the negative. You're not having that with this game.
That's
because
true.
people are just having fun playing it. That's how that whole thing works. I know this is a Bethesda-led project, and Virtuous is the one that actually developed it. And those guys have been cooking, by the way. Holy shit.
Good for
But
Virtuous.
Bethesda needed something after Starfield. That game, I don't think people realize how much damage that did to their reputation. You have to keep in mind that before Starfield, it's been over a decade since Bethesda released a new game, which means that in that time, an entire console generation, the gaming market has tripled. There's triple the players, triple the money.
What?
And with that, Starfield ended up being people's first taste of Bethesda. And it tasted like shit.
Yeah.
You have to do something about that.
Actually, that's insane that the market tripled, which means that there's like 66% of players, the gaming market, like probably hadn't tried Skyrim, or if they did, they were going back and playing a game that like a friend recommended.
You can't let that sit out there like that. Putting out an Oblivion remaster at this level of quality, that's gonna give you a much better reputation, especially for the price that they put it at. But here's the thing. This isn't just a Bethesda decision. This was an Xbox decision. They were the ones that said, hey, we need to go make an Oblivion remaster. I talked to a couple people, and they said it wasn't even Bethesda that actually pulled the trigger on it. It was Xbox. And it was a smart choice by them. But they've had a rough go of it for the last decade or more now.
Yeah.
The Xbox One series didn't do very well with them. The now Xbox series is not doing very well for them.
I have never, ever, ever, ever followed consoles. Growing up, the consoles I cared about were my Dreamcast, which wasn't even mine. It was like my brother's. And we had an N64 and GameCubes. I haven't cared about consoles since those.
The competition is lapping them like it's a damn tradition at this point. And you know, a funny thing happens when these companies get backed into a corner. They start looking for other options. They start trying to fight back. And they start swinging like they should have swung a long time ago. And in the case,
they got too comfortable, and now they have to figure it out.
of Xbox,
They have
is
to figure it
pricing the
out.
game fairly. You know, Nintendo just announced a $90 Breath of the Wild plus DLC remaster.
Guys, I'm done. I'm done with Breath of the Wild likes. Tears of the Kingdom was already like the same engine, the same game. Bro, I don't know. It's not the same game, but I mean like it is. There is nothing fundamentally new. It's just it's a new story in the same package.
And then here comes Xbox with one of the most
Every time you
renowned
speak
and one of the most
Japanese, I have to check chat lol.
remaster. And then here comes Xbox with one of the most renowned and one of the most well-known games in Bethesda's entire game catalog, and they put it out for $50. That's not a coincidence. This isn't so
Did you guys notice that it was cheap? Did you notice? I thought, damn, it's $49.99. Like, I've never seen a new game, well, a release like this start with a 4. Like, not even like 10 years ago.
some bargain bin bundle half-hearted reskin. This is a nearly full remake of one of the most influential RPGs of all time. Not just with visual upgrades, but rebuilt on Unreal Engine 5, packed with DLC, improved systems, better combat, and a UI overhaul. It is on the same level of fidelity and scope as the Demon's Souls remake from Bluepoint. And
Never
that
even
game
played it.
launched at $70 and still costs $70 today.
Ooh.
And yet here we are with Bethesda and Xbox just dropping Oblivion for $50. Not 60, not 70,
Ooh.
not 90, 50. That alone.
And everyone is upset with the rise of prices too. With the current rise of prices,
It makes it one of the most important releases of this year, not because of what the game is, but because of what that price represents. In an industry that's currently feeding on its own customers, where publishers have spent the last 4 years normalizing $70 as the baseline and now pushing into the $80 to $90 range without even blinking, this isn't just a fair deal, it's a challenge, a correction, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's a deliberate, calculated decision that's signaling two things loud and clear. Xbox knows that the industry is overreaching, and they plan to undercut it. At least
I would like to have like a AAA developer with like a budget AAA. That sounds nice. If Microsoft wants to be like the $50 AAA competitor where everyone else is 80, I'm gonna pick their game. As a streamer, like I'm constantly buying games and only putting it's AA. Okay, fine. Let's just say like big releases. I'm like, whatever. What's gonna happen is I'm going to be, as a creator at least, trying to get the cheaper game. It's like I have to buy a new game, I feel like 2 or 3 times a month. Seriously, get a lot more sales. Doesn't look good to the investors. Well, clearly that's not the case, because did we see these numbers? I mean, it sold like crazy.
that's what makes the most sense from my perspective, because Xbox isn't doing great. They haven't been doing great for a long time. Since the disastrous release of the Xbox One, the brand has struggled to find its identity. They lost ground to PlayStation during the last generation, and they never fully recovered. And now here we are in the Xbox Series era, and things haven't gotten any better. If anything, they've regressed even further. Xbox console sales have completely tanked, while PlayStation is outselling them at twice the rate. The Nintendo Switch is likely to be the most sold console in gaming history, breaking over 150 million units sold. If we look at the last 2 years of their game releases, Hi-Fi Rush is arguably the only respected release. Redfall blew a hole in the ground.
Whoa, what is Redfall? 9 players? Oh my god. 20p?
Starfield was...
Well, this isn't, well, oh my god, compared to the P. Oh my god. Wait, this Starfield was released, was it released 1.6 years ago? Was this released a year and a half ago? How have I never heard of this? Not like never heard of this. How did I not know this came out? That's crazy.
Memed on for months. South of Midnight was an interesting game, but it's not really going to be pushing any units. And Avowed, I'm sure some people played it on Game Pass.
Damn. I've heard of this one.
It's ironic, really. Xbox has essentially returned to the exact position that it was in before the Xbox 360, the forgotten platform, technically competent, but no killer identity. Much of that I blame on the loss of Halo. Fumbling your mascot and what your console is known for is going to have some pretty harsh consequences. But as the hardware battle is drug on, they have been put in a corner. They have to start fighting back. I don't think this $50 price is a peace offering. It's a pivot, or at least...
What if they, is deciding to pull out of the console market like a big, is that a big loss? You look at Sega and it's like, do you need to make your own console to be able to survive?
At least it should be. This is the kind of move that you make when you realize that your platform has no dominance and your audience is not big enough for you to be able to justify absurd prices. So instead, what you do is you lean into something that you can control: value. While Sony and Nintendo are too busy extracting maximum value out of their same recycled franchises at inflated prices, Xbox just handed players one of the most iconic RPGs ever made at a price that actually respects their wallet. And I think the timing really matters here, because you cannot tell me that it's a coincidence that we just saw Nintendo announce Mario Kart World for $80 and a Zelda Breath of the Wild, a 10-year-old game, DLC remaster bundle for $90.
$90. Wait, certainly I can simply play Breath of the Wild on my Switch too, right? What's the point?
Xbox undoubtedly is trying to make Nintendo...
And why Breath of the Wild and not Tears of the Kingdom? Why would you release a DLC on the older game?
Look foolish, and they're trying to take advantage of the situation. This is exactly what we want to see. This is the energy that we need. This is exactly what I hope that we would start seeing. These companies need to be at each other's throats, because when they are, players win. Competition means better games, better prices, and less arrogance. It breeds quality. It forces fairness. The problem is, for years now, this industry hasn't had any real competition. Sony and Nintendo don't really compete with one another. They operate in entirely different lanes. Nintendo dominates the handheld section and family-oriented experiences, while Sony rules the high-end console space. And Xbox, well, they used to be the equalizer. They used to be that third pillar that kept the other two in check, but after a decade of missteps, they've lost their power, and with it, they lost relevance. Now,
it's like the other two are winning just because this guy is like shooting himself in the foot. Like Xbox is tripping themselves up.
Keep in mind, none of these platforms are trying to compete directly with PC. They don't think that players are just going to wall off and go and build a gaming PC. Steam, to them, is treated like it's an alternate revenue stream, not a rival. And so, with Xbox being largely absent from the fight, Nintendo and Sony have gotten incredibly comfortable, too comfortable. And that's why we're seeing higher prices, because without competition, they don't really have to care what the players think. But even unchecked, there's a ceiling, because eventually that arrogance is going to collide with an even bigger issue: saturation. And I think that Xbox and the pricing that we just saw appears that they just took a step towards addressing that. Because the truth is, nobody is safe from the looming threat that's been creeping beneath all of these price hikes, remasters, deluxe editions, and seasonal roadmaps of live service games. The games industry right now is making too much content, and it's making it too fast at too high of a price for an audience that is already overwhelmed.
Guys, this is how I feel. I can't stream all the trending games that I want to stream. I got 10 hours into Oblivion, and then I wasn't able to play Blueprints, and now there's this new French RPG that I was like, ooh, I want to play that. I want to play that game. But I'm like, am I going to spend $60 on this game and only get 10 hours in it? I don't actually know how much it is. I'm gonna pay $60 for a game, get 10 hours into it before the next shiny new thing catches my attention. I need to like sit down on the games I buy. And now I'm addicted to Warframe, which was $0 and easily 50 hours of like free content.
I'm seriously wondering if Xbox's pricing of the Oblivion remaster may be a sign that some of these publishers are waking up to the idea that there is an oversupply crisis unfolding across this entire industry.
I would love if every game was $50. If every game was $50, I would just buy more games. I don't buy a game. If I see a game that is $70, I hesitate like crazy. Like even Baldur's Gate 3, even incredible games. I was like, oh fuck, totally worth it. I think that one was $60.
Too many games, too little demand. Mid-tier and even some AAA games are being churned out at record speeds, but the audience simply isn't there to sustain all of it. I mean, just in the last 6 months alone, we saw Monster Hunter Wilds, Path of Exile 2, Avowed, Marvel Rivals, Split Fiction, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Schedule 1, Expedition 33, and Oblivion Remastered.
Holy fuck.
All of them dropping in an increasingly crowded marketplace, and that's only scratching the surface of some of the games that were released. I mean, the whole reason that I was confused and frustrated about Nintendo wanting to increase prices to $80, or analysts thinking that it's somehow healthy for Grand Theft Auto 6 to go up to $100.
No. You can't push your 12-year development time.
People thought I played League of Legends because I was a sweaty tryhard. I played it cause it was free.
That's a good point.
Was there is simply just too many games in this industry. There's too many games that are out there. Players have too much choice. And when supply is that high and demand is so low, prices have to come down to meet demand, or you're just going to see more games fail and more studios close. And I think that's
the studios that's scary. Might genuinely try GTA at $115 fucking dollars. I'm account sharing. Like if if it is the price of 2 games, I am going to account share. Like I am not doing that. Oh my god.
That's what Xbox might be betting on, not nostalgia, not charity, market pressure. I want you guys to think about it like this. When a remaster hits the market with near remake level quality, full DLC, and a sub-premium price, it suddenly looks like it's the best value in the room because it is the best value in the room. This isn't goodwill, this is strategy, because unlike Sony and Nintendo, Xbox doesn't have anything left to protect. Their first-party titles haven't had any impact. Their platform isn't going to be winning the hardware race. Their legacy titles, Halo, Gears, Fable, they've either gone cold or gone missing. Game Pass, while smart in theory, hasn't really become the Netflix of gaming like they would have hoped. So the only
I think that Game Pass is actually crazy value, crazy overlooked value. It's something that I've like seriously as a streamer been super interested in doing, to get like access to games that people like. Lies of P goes on there. Like I've seen that multiple times. Games I haven't played.
Only way that these guys can compete is through value. This is why I think Xbox might actually be learning, not because they care more, not because they've suddenly wanted to become more consumer first, but because they're desperate.
Yeah.
They've lost too much ground to be able to play by the old rules, so now they're going to start trying to test out some new ones. Out of the 3 major platform holders, they are the weakest, but they're also the most dangerous, especially given the fact that they have done away with console exclusivity. So if they start slashing prices, that's going to become a problem, because they're not just going to be doing it on their platform, they're going to be doing it on their competitors' platforms as well. I'm really hoping that this isn't just some one-off play, because this could be the start of a winning strategy. Think about the games that Xbox has in their pipeline. Doom Dark Ages, Gears of War E-Day, Fable. These aren't throwaway titles. These are high-profile IPs with built-in audiences.
I remember Fable.
If Xbox sticks to this model, competitive pricing, multi-platform releases, they could position themselves as the one major publisher that's actually in touch with reality. Now, to be clear,
I like it. I think this is going to be a one-off. Microsoft has, if anything, has proven that they are greedy as fuck and completely detached from reality. Microsoft is not the company that's going to come down to earth. Unfortunate. I think that they just were thinking this is the price.
I don't think that's actually going to happen.
There
I don't
you
have
go.
a lot of faith in this industry or these publishers to think that these guys are going to have the foresight to realize that if you slash your prices in response to your competition increasing theirs, you're going to be able to reach higher revenues. You're going to be able to reach a much wider audience. But if anybody could do it, it would be Xbox.
No.
They're the ones that are the best positioned to be able to pull this off in the first place. Their games are largely subsidized through Game Pass to begin with. They already have done away with console exclusivity. So you're going to be cutting prices on their platform. Imagine how much that would suck to be them. Imagine the impact of a game like Doom Dark Ages dropping for $60 instead of $70. I know it's already at $70 right now, but this is a hypothetical more than anything else. I wish these companies would wake up to realize this. The problem is these guys, for the most part, have banded against us. They've been working together. They've been following one another rather than actually competing with one another. And because of that, things have been incredibly unfair for us.
Well, that's why we buy indie games. That's why you buy Hollow Knight on sale for $3. And then you get 100 hours of game and it's guaranteed good. I mean, like, sure, if we need to not buy games on release, we need to hold off because like buying them on release for $60 is what like caused this fucking mess.
You know, I saw somebody that was very upset with the fact that I was talking about The Elder Scrolls Oblivion and its remaster and how much I've been enjoying it, and I've been memeing on Twitter and stuff about it.
Upset about that.
And they said that you cry for change, but you keep handing them money.
It's kind of what I'm saying.
We only get change if we vote with our wallets. And voting with your wallet doesn't mean not buying anything because things really aren't going to change, and that's not even realistic to begin with. People are just going to buy something instead. But supporting a near remake like Oblivion for $50 is the exact kind of message that you want to send.
I mean, he keeps calling it a near remake, but everything but the logical structures is new.
You want to reward good behavior.
I guess it's near, but it's
Don't buy the bad games. Buy the good games.
Yeah.
You're not going to, we're not winning anything if you're not buying games that are actually good or worth supporting. You want to send a signal to these companies saying, hey, this is what I want and I want more of it. And then they'll make more of it. Essentially, that's how it's supposed to work.
You know, that's very interesting. That is super, super, super interesting because think about this. This like shadow drop was probably made to make a ton of people buy the game without any review. Obviously, this might be a strategy, and this is something for me like to think about. Is this hot drop, shadow drop, 100,000 people buying it in the first hour is like a strategy for game devs to and it's probably going to be used when they know their game is a piece of shit. So this next time something like this happens, for me, I'm gonna try to have this be like the time at work. And in the future now, like these game devs are gonna have to like prove themselves because we are lucky Oblivion was good. But if it was shit, we would have been like so many people would have been out of luck because so many people would have played it blind. So something to think about. Wow.
Whether it actually does, I guess we'll find out in the future. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun playing Oblivion. It has been so great to return back to the game.
Aww.
Oh man, it's been so long since I've played in a Bethesda title to begin with. I think I only played like 15 hours of Starfield before I gave it up. But I've just been having a lot of fun. It's honestly one of my favorite games of all time. So it's kind of surreal that they even made a remaster like this in the first place. It's been blowing my mind.
Oh, he's probably so excited.
I still
Thank
need
you for the
to play Expedition 33 and also the Marathon Alpha. Apparently Bungie wants to talk to me. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have been enjoying Oblivion. I'm gonna be playing.
I enjoy the video. What do we do when we enjoy video, guys? We give it a like. Oh shit, I'm not signed in.